Good afternoon, sellers. Hope you're all doing well. We'll give it a few minutes to let everybody join. Oh, and if you remember last time, we had a poll at the beginning and at the end of the check-in. We are going to do another poll at the end because we had great engagement last time. We appreciated your feedback. It helps us make these events even better. So stay tuned at the end and there'll be another one of those poll questions for you guys to fill out. It'll just take a couple minutes. Thank you all for joining the August Seller Check-in. We have a wonderful agenda for you today. I'm so excited for this one. As you can see up on the screen, we have Jamie, our President and CEO, who's going to be giving you a quick update, or not so quick update, but a great update on everything that's going on at eBay and as it pertains to sellers. Hopefully many of you tuned in to our last earnings and you were pleased as I was to hear Jamie talk a lot about the importance of sellers and the importance of the community. So we'll share that with you all today directly. And then we'll have Jordan give an update on the marketplace, some trends that are happening, and then just some updates, on what we're doing as we head into, obviously, the all-important Q4. I'll give a few updates on operations, seller protections, our value prop, and our exciting 25th anniversary plans. And then, as I said last time, we're going to leave quite a bit of extra time at the end for additional Q&A, because I know we always run out of time for Q&A. So hopefully we'll have plenty of time this go around. All right. So with that, I hope that sounds like a great agenda to you guys. We're excited to get going, and I will hand it over to Jamie.
Thanks, Marty, and hello, everyone. And nice to see all the highs coming in on the chat from all over the country, and just some from Canada there, and so I guess from all over the world. Really excited to spend some time with you today. Some of you I think I spent time with in June. Others, this is the first time. So hello, great to meet with you. Sorry we can't be doing it in person, but I thought I'd share a little bit about me and then a little bit about some of my thoughts for the seller community. So first, let me say, I think many of you know I spent 8 years at eBay earlier in my career in the early 2000s, and coming back to eBay to me was a dream come true to lead this company. I've always considered eBay a magic company because of this wonderful business, the great employees we have, but most importantly because of the community and the purpose and the mission of this company. But when I talked to my team about part of why I came back, it's because of all of you in the seller community, and I told them a lot of stories that I shared of dozens of sellers, if not hundreds, that I've met at different events along the times, and heard your stories and the impact that you've made on this platform. And being able to come back and lead that was a dream for me to do so. So I'm excited to be back. I'm excited. Thank you, Jordan and Marty, for inviting me to spend some time with the community today. And I can't wait to get out and meet more of you in person. I've done a couple of one-on-ones with individual sellers, both here in the US and throughout different countries throughout the world. And every time I do, I learn something about our business and feel better about what we're doing at eBay, and also find opportunities for things that we could do a whole lot better. So thanks for your engagement, for leaning in, for participating in these summits, for the questions, and most importantly, thanks for all that you're doing for eBay. You may have heard me talk at the earnings call and other places where I talk about, our business during this time of crisis in the global pandemic and what it's done. And, what I reply to investors and the media and others is I say, the real impressive part of what's happened has been our sellers, how they've stepped up to get people the stuff that they needed and to help buyers through this pandemic that we have and to help each other. I think the credit goes to all of you for how you've helped people get what they need in such a troubled time for not only this country, but for all the countries throughout the world. So I love the dialogue that we have. Your open and honest and critical feedback is really important to me. I know it's important to Jordan and Marty. What makes us better. I said in the June call, and I've told my team internally here, that a lot of the things that we build and new technologies and new capabilities come from sessions like this, where we hear from you what's working and what's not working. We've launched a number of things recently, which I know the team's going to cover today. But I thought what I would do is spend a little time talking about the strategy that I talked about in our earnings call. And that was to really have what I'm calling a tech-led reimagination of eBay to be the best marketplace for buyers and for sellers. And there's really three components of that. But the most important component that I highlighted is by being the seller platform of choice, I called it. So being your partner, your best partner, the best platform for you to participate in. And that's one of the three key strategies in this tech-led reimagination. I know many of you feel like, and it may have been true that over the years that we focused a lot on the buy side of the equation. Certainly from marketing and other standpoints, we definitely did. And one of the things that's important for me and for this whole organization is this mantra of seller platform of choice, of really making sure that we're doing all the things from a tool perspective, from a capabilities perspective, from how we work with you to be that partner. And sessions like today, I think, are really helpful in getting that feedback. One of the reasons I'm so excited that Jordan is leading our North America business is he's been a champion for seller, I think, for a very long time, for many, many years. And so having him lead this North America business for me and for the company, I think is really great because he more than anyone believes in that kind of key tenet. A second principle for us on the strategy is really about defending the core. So building great new capabilities in specific areas where eBay is great, has always been great, and there's so much opportunity for us to make it easier for buyers and sellers to transact, to create more magical experiences. And I'll just give you an example of the QR code that we launched to help do local pickup. That actually idea came out of our technology organization, and they said, how do we make it easier for a buyer and seller when we want to do local pickup to meet up and exchange funds? And I don't know if anyone's tried it yet, but it's a pretty slick new interface where you just swap essentially QR codes and it makes it really easy. A neighbor of mine used it and said it was pretty fantastic when he used that experience. So it's an example of ways we're trying to really reinvent technology. And then the third component is really building trusted relationships with our buyers in long term. Really, this platform needs lots of buyers. We were excited that 8 million new buyers came in over the last quarter to buy all the stuff that you guys have on the platform. But really working on areas like marketing and technology to invest in bringing buyers up the life cycle, helping them get on the platform. You may have seen us do a bunch of TV advertising last quarter. We're also doing promotional things to drive app downloads because we know when a community member gets on the app, it makes their whole experience a lot easier. So really leaning into the things that create that long-term relationship are important. So those are the really three tenets about kind of defending the core of great experiences, being the seller platform of choice, and building these lifelong relationships with buyers. So we're doing a lot of things to lean in. I know last year we launched some things in seller invoicing, invoice credits, and the ability to do partial refunds. I know we've launched changes to Seller Hub. The team's worked on some great things in seller initiated offers to make that a tool. But what you're going to see from me under my leadership here is a continued investment, things like putting stores into the native app, a continued investment in working to make sure that we're the platform of choice and really there for you as sellers while we build these lifelong trusted relationships with our buyers. So let me just say that, if you look on the buying side, we've done things like launch dark mode in iOS. We've been working to make it easier. Obviously, managed payments is a huge thing, both for our buyers and for our sellers, to not only make the process a whole lot easier for a buyer of not having to set up a separate account, but giving you a place to manage your whole business on eBay. The vast majority of sellers should see lower fees from doing managed payments. And we think there's this idea of making things just simpler and more seamless on the platform will help drive the long-term growth. And so managed payments is definitely one way that we're leaning in to do that. So let me just close by telling you that I appreciate the time that you all spend with us here. In my 8 years, I can tell you that at least probably 50 to 70% of the things the ideas that we came up with back in those years came from conversations with individual community members. So I extremely value the time that you put in to give us feedback, We like to hear what's working, but to specifically like to hear what's not working, what we could be doing better to serve you. I'm honored to be back as CEO of the company. I appreciate getting to spend a few minutes with each of you today, and looking from the great different locations everybody's calling in from. I can't wait till we're in a world where I can travel around and come meet some of your businesses, and we can hold more local events, because those were really amongst my most fun time when I was here last time, and I can't wait to get them to do them again with Jordan and with Marty. So thanks everyone for all the business that you're doing with us on eBay. Thanks for the partnership, and look forward to continuing the conversation. Thanks, Marty.
Thank you, Jamie, so much. And one of the first questions that came in, I think you answered quite eloquently. The first question was, eBay CEO seems to vary in their connection to sellers in recent years, right? So the question was, can you indicate some areas where you expect to make changes? So it sounds like that question was at least is starting to be answered through this conversation and conversations that we'll be having in the future. So thank you.
Yeah, awesome. And it is extremely important to me. We need to have the focus both on buyers and sellers and a healthy balance there. And I know it's important to Jordan as well. In fact, probably as much, if not more so than with me. So excited to have that partnership with all of you.
Great. All right. So next up, Jordan, take us away. Give us some North America marketplace updates, will you?
Thanks, Marty. It's great to see everybody again. And I think Jamie might have to drop off, but I did see there's one more question in there about whether he's a Yankee, Mets fan, or a closet Red Sox fan. So I'm happy to talk hockey all day long, but other than being a casual Giants fan, I'm not a baseball enthusiast, but I'll make sure that we get Jamie to come back and weigh in on
No, I think he's Phillies.
It's getting very controversial.
I know. Let's not, right. I know he's an Eagles fan, so that's why,
yeah.
But keep going.
Obviously, yeah, we had earnings, strong results for eBay. I covered that in some of the community posts. And so I actually thought today I'd just talk to you a little bit about the look forward view. So sort of not, what's been going on, but how do we think about planning for holiday and in a normal year, holiday is different for eBay than every other retailer. Like you think of a brick and mortar store where they might be doing, more than half of all of their sales for the entire year in sort of a 6 to 8 week window. And eBay doesn't have that kind of peak. We do have a holiday peak, but like the last 3 or 4 months, every day for us has been larger than our past holiday peaks anyways. And so we're certainly in a year where nothing is different than, or everything is different than what we planned. And I think this year's holiday is definitely going to line up to that. So I thought I might just kind of run through some of the things that are front of mind for me. And if there's follow-up questions, happy to cover that later on. So the first one is, we're at record levels of e-com penetration. In the first, several weeks of the pandemic, we went from 17% of US retail being done online to 28%. So almost 10 years of e-commerce migration happened in a couple weeks. And what we see around the world is even in other countries where they've gotten the virus under control and things have opened back up, all physical retail is not returning to normal. I think the most aggressive is, 2/3 of physical retail went back to normal, but that would still imply that, we went from 17 to 28, maybe we end up at low 20s. That's still a 10 to 15% acceleration in e-commerce growth. It could be as much as 30 over holiday. So even if things start to open up over the next couple of months, I don't think a vaccine's coming, but even if things start to open up in the next couple of months, you should assume that we are going to see a lot of volume online because people's shopping patterns will forever have been changed based upon what they've seen over the last 6 months. The other big thing is you may have seen a lot of retailers have announced they're not going to be open on Thanksgiving. And as I've joked a couple times and hopefully not gotten in too much trouble from my better half, it's great that everybody's home for Thanksgiving, but shopping in the store is a energy release that gets people and families out of the house after they have their time together. And so if these stores aren't going to be open, then I think as much as people love a healthy debate at the dinner table, there will be a lot more shopping online on Thanksgiving. And so, usually eBay would see, the Wednesday night and Friday, Saturday, certainly Cyber Monday. I think eBay and every other retailer is going to see a lot of volume happening on Thanksgiving Day because people won't be out in the stores in the same way. So we'll see more volume. When will we see it? Well, beyond Thanksgiving Day, I think we're going to see holiday start earlier. You'll see eBay lean into holiday earlier, but I think customers in general are going to be start shopping earlier. There's the uncertainty of supply chain that most people have experienced over the last 3 to 6 months, whether you've been trying to buy gardening supplies, stand-up desks, work from home supplies, athletic equipment. I mean, I don't know, when was the last time, treadmills were sold out in America? I mean, things that you would never even, kayaks, inflatable Intex kayaks have been selling, 3x premium on eBay. I mean, it's like you see someone with a kayak on the highway. It's like, oh, where'd you get that? People are just so used to having a perfect supply chain in North America, and that just isn't the case now. And so I think people are going to be shopping earlier for Christmas, and especially as they think of gifts that, may not be for themselves, but for their children, their spouses, their family members, just to make sure that they've locked in those critical things for Christmas. And so don't be surprised if you start to see the holiday trends coming earlier. And then I also wonder a lot around what people are going to buy. All the things that we've seen selling in the early stages of the pandemic, especially as the stimulus checks came out, kitchen appliances, TVs, treadmills, a lot of these like luxury type of things that people buy for themselves at home when they have discretionary money, people quickly discovered that when they're home all the time, they're not really optional. They do want to pamper themselves. And so I don't know. I think it's just as much a chance that we see similar shopping patterns around toys, kitchen appliances, electronics, as we start to see, a shift in sort of what people are buying because they've already bought those things, or in some parts of the country, they will have been home now for 9 and 10 months. And in the same way we saw puzzles selling early out of the gate in March, we may see different family-oriented type things selling. Another thing I've posted on Facebook that I think will carry through holiday is just how people are looking to stretch their dollars. Obviously, there's still uncertainty right now on the stimulus checks, but a huge part of the country, and depending on the industry, employment is still a source of uncertainty, or not even an option, if you're in some, travel and hospitality spaces. And so what we've seen in past economic downturns is eBay is a place that people turn to when they're trying to stretch dollars for holiday. And so you can get the perfect, whatever that may be on eBay, but maybe it's pre-owned, it's refurbished. And there's a lot of ways to stretch your dollars on eBay. That isn't just buying, used puzzles, which have been selling, used webcams, which have been selling like crazy this year, but you can buy great refurbished inventory on eBay. You can buy amazing pre-owned clothes, and eBay is a perfect place to, support those family moments and stretch your dollars further. So I think, the one theme I offered up on Griff's webcast, and I just sort of share here again with this group is, so many of you sell in multiple categories and adapted through so many different, areas of eBay and areas of customer shopping. I suspect this holiday season will keep all of us on our toes as you respond to the different customer demand trends. And so when you look at the things you would expect to normally sell at Christmas, if the same trends aren't appearing, I know you can't go and source new inventory overnight, but I've talked to a lot of sellers about other things at home and in other channels they didn't think would be selling on eBay. And when they tested those out, they worked well. And so don't be afraid to run some different tests. And don't be afraid to sort of, ask for help from us where you need it around more data around what's happening with consumer trends. Obviously, I see a bunch of questions on USPS. We can cover some of those in the Q&A, but a lot of uncertainty around USPS, I think, also plays back into reasons customers will shop sooner. In a normal election year, you'd kind of see people hold off on shopping until after the election to get clarity. And I think certainly this year's election does bring a lot of uncertainty. My uninformed perspective, just my own 2 cents, with like a retail enthusiast lens on, is I think the uncertainty will actually lead to people wanting to lock in those Christmas gifts sooner, just with everything else going on. So I think, again, it all goes back to the idea of earlier shopping for, for cooking, for exercising, for working, for family events, for toys, hobbies, and things to, sort of endure heading into winter when, if you're still at home, it'll be a less fun time to be stuck inside. So hopefully those insights are helpful as you think about holiday. If you guys have other ideas or things that you think I should be thinking about, drop them into the chat or Q&A, or as always, just send me an email. But I'm looking forward to this holiday season. I think it'll be a a pleasant distraction from everything else going on in the world if we can try to embrace the parts that are working and have a little more flexibility in how we run the businesses. All right, Marnie, that's it for me. Back over to you.
All right, thank you. Great, some great questions come in. We'll hit them definitely at the end, but maybe I can answer some of them as we go along. So tons of questions, as I see, and comments and thoughts and opinions and concerns around, of course, seller protections and what's going on with USPS. So we'll talk more about that in Q&A. But what I will tell you is that we all know, right? We all read the news, but aside from that, we know that USPS, like all other carriers, have been constrained through the pandemic. And USPS, obviously added to that with some operational changes that they made over the past month or so. And so, many of you know that we absolutely want to support USPS. They are a great enabler of small business. We have an entire Main Street government relations team who works with with the government and with USPS. And so we are, like I said in my seller news announcement last week, we are monitoring it closely. We also know that you're running a business, and our goal is to support, help, protect, foster your businesses, right? And help them grow and help them thrive. And so, if we're seeing things that are concerning to us around late deliveries or scans not happening, right, we are going to look at other ways in which our sellers, if they so choose to, can use other carriers, what's at your disposal. Ultimately, it's always our seller's choice of what they, how they want to run their business, but it is our duty to give you kind of all of the options. So, that's just kind of my 30,000 foot view, of the state of the, state of the U.S. Postal Service. But we'll answer specific questions in the Q&A. But just so anybody thinks that, we are, anti-USPS. I know Jordan has a strong opinion here. We are very pro when we have a great relationship with them. We've had a great relationship with them. We also want to protect you, our sellers. So with that, we still have the seller protections in place, right, where we've talked about that extensively around, protecting you from defects. There was a question around handle time. So I said on my in my Facebook and my seller news announcement, ideally you manage your business. We would prefer to that you don't extend your handle times, right? You guys get your shipments out the door. And you let us worry about scans and USPS. And so we, like I said, we've extended our estimated delivery dates in a number of zip codes where we're seeing the greatest delays. We're monitoring that closely. If it comforts you to extend your handle time, by all means, we're not going to stop you. But just know that our machines, our algorithms are working behind the scenes with the extended delivery dates that we've put in the system, and we want to ensure that the buyers get their products when they expect it. So again, your business, you manage it. We're here to support, but please take our recommendation. The other thing that kind of came up last week was around the peak holiday surcharge. So we all saw that, which I know not a surprise, but also still disappointing. But there is that peak holiday surcharge. And, as we get closer to holiday, we'll go into more details around that. It is a surcharge for commercial users. Which is if you go into the post office, you won't see that surcharge. But obviously, if you're a commercial user, you will. But our rates with the post office still remain extremely strong, and shipping through our platform still is the most cost-effective way. Again, lots of options. And, again, we recommend you looking at all your options, whether it be, other labels, FedEx, right? We have some news coming in a couple of weeks about other partnerships, but our goal is to have your products shipped to the buyers as quickly as possible. Let's see. Next on my list is actually talking about enhancing the value prop. So we've talked about this extensively over the last few seller check-ins. We talked about the new pricing with our additional free insertions, which has been going really well. We're seeing a lot of sellers bring more inventory to the site, so thank you very much. Today I just wanted to quickly give a shout out or a plug for Lending Point. which is our new partner that we announced, where sellers can apply for a loan and you can make monthly installments for up to 48 months. So, it's just good to know about. If you don't need it now, many of you also may not need it, but you run Facebook groups or meetups, and we love for you to be able to have that information. So please look for information. You'll get emails. There's a seller news announcement about Lending Point and all the services it provides. So we continue to look at how do we unlock the value prop for our sellers. We're going to continue this, right? We want it to be the seller platform of choice. We understand your margins, and we're looking to look at other creative ways to enhance that value prop as we go forward. All right. And then holiday kickoff month. So Jordan talked quite a bit about holiday. We are starting holiday earlier than ever because we do believe people are going to start shopping sooner than later. I think I've said it numerous times. I think everybody can't wait for 2020 to end. When you go into like Walgreens and you see the Christmas cards and you're like, oh my God, it's only September. Now it's like, yay, Christmas cards. It means 2020 is almost over. So we are excited. We've kicked off, we had the podcast where I was on with Jen Deal from our marketing team to talk about predictions. I know Jordan was on just this week talking about what to expect for holiday. And then we also had one of our GMs on the hard goods team just talk about trends. And Jordan mentioned it already about trends, whether it's staying home for the holidays and doing more cooking than you normally do, or decorating the heck out of your house because you just want to be in a festive mood and you can't go anywhere and you're stuck at home, but you want to show your holiday spirit. Or, right, you're going to have a Zoom giving. I just made that up. So now it's a word. We're going to have a Zoom giving. So you need a better laptop, you need better camera, microphone, whatever it may be, a new Wi-Fi adapter, extender, all of those things. But holiday is going to look very different this year and we are ready for it. But we have so much more information to bring you this month on holiday kickoff and readiness. And then of course, as we get closer to Christmas, a lot more conversations around trends, inventory, pricing, and of course, shipping. And then last but not least for me is the 25th celebration. And so my goodness, this is what makes me proud to work at eBay. I couldn't believe the response we received. I think, Allison will keep me honest, I think we're over 40,000 right now, people who have registered to join the celebration. So it is so exciting. The response has been amazing. Thank you all for those of you who registered. I know there's a question in there about a confirmation email. Yes, if you didn't receive the confirmation email, you will be getting it shortly, but we have your registration. Don't you worry, you will be let in the front door, the front virtual door of our celebration. And we are super, super excited. The seller stories are amazing. I hope you're checking them out. We've seen them come in and it really kind of gets us through our day job because they are really truly inspiring. So we can't wait for the 25th celebration. We'll see you there. I know 40,000. I know we're going to break the internet. I know. At least it does, as long as ebay.com is fine and buyers can buy your products. Otherwise the celebration could break the internet. Let's do it. And then I'm just going to address one more thing that I saw in the Q&A. Was around seller update. And, there will be a seller update in a few weeks. And, we are cognizant of we're in the holiday season. I carefully combed through the seller update, as you can imagine, to make sure that, we are providing you with the most up-to-date information. We're not asking you to do things that are unreasonable as we head into, the end of Q3 and Q4 as you're getting ready for holiday. And you'll see some really exciting, cool stuff in there. Some updates on everything from promoted listings. I don't want to give too much away to updates on multi-user account access. And I think there's actually we rebranded. I'm going to give a little bit away, Harry. Sorry. I think we're rebranding vacation mode. We still have the functionality. We're adding to it, and now I think it has a new name. So stay tuned for the new unveiling of vacation mode. It's exciting stuff. But the seller update will be coming, in early September. So hope that answers the question in the Q&A. So that is kind of, I'm looking at my list. That is all I had on my agenda. We purposely left plenty of time for Q&A because, you know, we seem to run short. But right now, I'm just going to give another plug for the panel at the end, that we're going to do a quick, you know, panel at the end. So stay on, take the little panel, please, or, you know, take the little,
Survey.
what?
Survey.
Survey, thank you. I'm like, what is it? I don't know. It's been a long day. Take the survey because the feedback is invaluable to us, right? It helps, it helps us learn a little bit more about your business, what you're thinking about right now, so we can create and curate the, you know, the content around what you want, what you're looking for. And we also want to, you know, obviously make these check-ins a real good use of your time because we know the time is valuable. So thank you all. And now I will take it over to Q&A. My goodness, lots of questions. All right, here we go. Allison, can we go to, so I can see everybody? Or see all the panelists so I can call on people? Thank you. All right, let's see. I talked about seller update.
Hey, Marty.
Yes.
I just want to chime in on seller update. Hi, sellers. I see a lot of familiar names here. Good to see all you guys. With respect to seller update, you're going to see some really great new features with respect to item specifics, because I'm sure that's what you're a little worried about is, you know, are there going to be mandates or changes to names of item specifics? And we have made a tremendous amount of updates. And basically, we've made all that real time now. So in the listing flow, you're going to see a soon to be required item specific, and it will tell you the date when it's going to become required. And we're going to give you 60 days, plenty of time. There's not many of them in a listing, maybe one or two. And the reason that they're going to change is because they have so much buyer demand data. It's how the buyers are searching for those listings. And that's why we want you to give them to us all the time. But they're going to be directly in the listing flow, and you're going to get the post list guidance that's going to tell you which of those are missing, and you can edit them directly from active listings. You can even edit them in the new download spreadsheet that we've created, where you can just drag and drop and cut and paste to make it super easy. So this is nothing like what we used to do, which is you have to find them in a spreadsheet and worry about it. It'll be right there anytime you list. It'll call them out. They'll be right at the top of the listing flow, super easy to find. And then we'll call them out dynamically in the post list environment, so you know exactly which ones you need. And remember, the reason we're doing it is because they have super high buyer demand data. So really easy to do it. And again, a very different experience. We've gone completely proactive from reactive.
Thank you, Harry. It's great. All right. Hold on. I'm just going through. Okay, Marnie Jordan from Donna. What are the main points you value in focusing on for eBay participation in Facebook groups? So Jordan, what gets you, you know, we look at those Facebook groups, what gets your attention that gets you to chime in? I think that's what really you're asking.
Oh, probably depends on what day and what my energy level is. I know, I think Harry does a better job of staying on top of like the bugs and specific issues. And I mean, the Facebook groups are community boards, Reddit. You would be amazed at the number of times the listeners on this Zoom call will drop in a screenshot, complain about a recurring bug. Hey, let CS know, and you know they can't really replicate it, and it can be so hard to track down when it just goes into the eBay ether. But when it gets in the hands of Harry or I, and we can connect it to like just the right engineer, they can kind of get this like light bulb moment of like, oh, whoa, oh, it's this new like Google beta release that's going on. You've got this blocker installed. Harry's team did this fantastic follow-up where they actually got a seller on the phone and she put her son on, and they found out there's a problem with like the ISP blocking this specific plugin. And so there's like these like very corner case bugs that I know each of you believe are like impacting all of eBay, and they're not because we'd see it. but you send these corner case bugs that are frustrating you, and we can chase them down. So there's the bugs, which are awesome. I love like the broader strategic stuff, which is like the, what's eBay doing about this and how do you think about it? And it's fun to sort of drop in, and you guys have seen I'm pretty transparent around things I agree with or things I'm nervous about and things I don't agree with. And then I don't have as much time as I would like to now, but every so often I invite myself to post into some of your more social threads around, what are you guys doing on the weekends and what did you sell? I think I got some helpful feedback on a bunch of shipments I'd put out around not folding the corners down on my tape and some different tips and tricks I could use to make my packages look a little better. But those are the reasons that I kind of drop in when I have time, and just like the different flavors of, I think, what keeps it engaging.
Yeah, for me, it's more around correcting misinformation. I'm like, no, that's not right. Right? I think you guys know that about me. I'm like, it's Marty here. No, don't think that, or don't do that. That's not right. So, I'm very protective, right? As much as I'd love to socialize, I'm more protective of, you guys having the right, most accurate, up-to-date information. That's probably where I lean in. All right, so lots of questions about INRs and defects and all that good stuff. So let me set the record straight. So protections for standards and service metrics. We are descoring defects for late shipments and INRs where there's valid tracking uploaded prior to the INR being filed. Say that 10 times fast. So it sounds like some of you have seen issues there where you haven't been kind of descored, if you will, for the defect. So I know Philip from the trust and risk team is looking into that. But we are protecting defects and metrics for any late shipments and INRs. So please know that. Let's look at these specific examples where it may not be happening. We'll get the details, but thank you for bringing it up. I know it is confusing. For this group, we know we want to have the most up-to-date, clear information, so then you could share that with your broader groups as well. So let us get that clarifying question out there. Let us look into those specific accounts to make sure everyone is taken care of, because we know the INR issue is real, and we want to make sure we're doing everything we can to protect you. Okay, is eBay going to add a 5% penalty for INR, like the extra 5% penalty for very high items not as described? So no. No, not anytime soon that I know of. I speak what I know, and especially now with INRs being just such a, having such a big impact on what's happening with deliveries and the whole postal service and everything like that. So there's no intention right now to add a 5% penalty for INRs. And again, that would be extremely counterintuitive to what's going on with the supply chain right now as it stands. Jordan, anything to add to that one?
Broadly, obviously there's a lot of conversations happening around what are we doing with shipping in this moment of time, which is complicated. But fundamentally, the conversations I'm having with the shipping team around where we want to get to longer term is back to some of the areas that many of you have asked about in the past, which is, why aren't you just held accountable to handling time? If you've done your job and gotten it to FedEx, UPS, or USPS on time, and the carrier is late, then why should there be a penalty? And the reason I say it that way is, like, none of those carriers have such a high loss rate that it's a problem for them to be in business, in which case the concept of an INR penalty wouldn't even be possible. And so my strong bias on anything that we sink our time into is, I don't want to just make it slightly better than where it is. I want to try to get to end state, and I would welcome any divergent views or alternate thoughts. But when I think about what end state looks like for INR, I'd rather have all of you just accountable for handling time and know that the acceptance scan is within your handling time. Obviously, that creates some challenges because not all carriers and not all services have acceptance scans, and not all partners for us have acceptance scans consistently, which makes that difficult. So don't be surprised if you see us asking questions around those themes as we go forward. But just to reiterate what Marnie said, there's no plans. And I was trying to think, I'm like, I don't even think since I've been back, there's been a conversation on,
No, I know. That's why I was like, I don't think so.
NRP.
Yes.
So I wouldn't worry about that one.
No. I always like to be 100% sure, so I go to the boss and make triply sure. Triply sure. I would do, Patty, you have a question, and I actually don't know the answer to it, so I'm looking into it. It's the one that says several sellers invited to the eBay capital loan and they did not get approved based on credit score. So I need to look into that in more detail. I don't know, Jordan, if you got any answers on that one, but we really should be, kind of matching what PayPal, or in some cases matching what PayPal was doing to make sure that all of our sellers are covered as they were with PayPal. So we'll get back to you on that one for sure.
Yeah, Marnie, I sent a few follow-ups, but if we could get the names of those sellers, we can look into those specific examples.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay.
Hey, Marty, just a couple. I see a couple of questions coming in about the item specific stuff, and I just want to clarify a few things. So, Catherine, you noted it was asking about character, and here's what we're doing, right? The item specifics are ranked by their buyer demand data, meaning what we wanted to do was elevate the most important item specifics in a category based on how buyers are searching the site for that particular listing. And because we've, sort of included all of these key item specifics by that data, sometimes that particular item specific may not just apply to your listing, like character, right? You may not have a character on that product. You don't need to fill it in. Now, active listings is going to say to you, you are missing that recommended aspect, but you'll notice that when you go edit it, there'll be a checkbox that says, don't show me this recommendation again. So you can actually turn that off, all right? And we recognize that there's just going to be some categories like that because of the way buyers search the system. It elevates all the aspects that are important to them, and sometimes not all of them will apply to that particular listing in that category. And that's okay, and that's why we added a mechanism for you to turn off the recommendation after that, so it doesn't keep telling you you're missing character as an example. And again, the thing that I want to stress is when we say add recommended aspects, they are just that. They're recommended, but they're important. That's why we're recommending to you. We're showing you how much buyers are using those fields. So it's not about giving us all the item specifics. It's about giving us the right ones and the ones that again buyers are using. So there is a way to turn that off after the first time, so it doesn't keep bothering you that you have to add something that isn't relevant to the listing. And again, it'll start really where it becomes super important is on these soon to be required or requireds, where it'll make it easy to edit those. So I just wanted to clarify on that. And then I noticed a lot of questions that Tanya and Ellis have been answering about mobile. So there was questions about, would we build a separate seller app for mobile? And the answer is no. I mean, that would be a lot of work to maintain two apps. And what you're seeing us doing is starting to add a lot of the business seller functionality into mobile, right? We're launching business policies in mobile. We're just launching volume pricing in mobile. We now put promoted listings directly into the listing flow in mobile, just like we do in the desktop flow. So now promoted listings and volume pricing, just like in the desktop flow, is in mobile. And then if you use business policies will be in mobile as well. And obviously our intent is, as we go into 21, is to add Terapeak natively into mobile. So all of these business tools that you're accustomed to using in Seller Hub, we're slowly but surely bringing them into the mobile environment, and we're dedicated to doing that.
Great. Thank you, Harry. Always important to talk about item specifics. Oh, here is one. This one I find interesting. It's more high level, and I think Jamie had to drop off. But Jamie Jordan, question about stocks. eBay is doing great, around $60 per share, but why do you think it's not doing much better? As Etsy is 3 times that amount at $150 per share. eBay customer base and sales are well above this. Trying to make sense of this.
Yeah, it's a great question. eBay is kind of in this awkward in-between. We're so large that we don't have the benefit of being a pure play like Etsy. And so Etsy was able to tell, and to their credit, they did a great job on playing into their craft sellers and the handmade masks. 8% or 12% of their GMV was just from handmade masks in last quarter. And so they were able to tell a really good story of sort of a pure play growth and taking advantage of the moment. we, like, if you go back pre-pandemic, I think the last GMV numbers we reported for the US were -7%. There was IST lapping in there, and we have some really slow categories. And so people are still kind of nervous. Like, what does eBay look like after the pandemic? For me, I'm not too worried about the current share price. And obviously, if I could predict the future, I probably wouldn't be here. But I think one of the things you'll see us doing a better job of going forward is actually, as you know, and Jamie was building on this, like talking about our seller platform of choice and these enthusiast communities. We have categories that are absolutely on fire. If you're selling in, certainly in like trading cards, you are probably seeing record sales. And so we have a lot of pure play businesses inside of eBay. And those stories don't get as much cut through as sort of, you know, an individual startup that might get a ton of press. If any of you watch CNBC, Jamie was on there after earnings doing an interview with on Squawk Box, and the second person interviewing him was Jim Cramer, who politely kind of threw the eBay business, you know, under the bus and was like, "Oh, your business is no good. You should go and buy all these other awesome companies." And so I kind of played that on my all hands last week to get my team fired up, because that certainly doesn't reflect what I think is the eBay potential. But you know, in all candor, like many of you, our investors want to see us do more than just talk and start to put some of these things to action. And then I think there is a lot of upside for the share price. But in order for us to get there, it will likely mean that, you know, all or many of you are seeing stronger eBay businesses, which is going to be more fun for everybody anyways.
Thanks, Jordan. Yeah, Patty, we didn't like what he had to say either. We're using it as a bit of a rallying cry. So thank you, Jordan. So Jerry says, why have our free insertions taken away? I have no idea. We are doing more free insertions, not less free insertions. So I'd love to get more details on that. Jerry, you could kind of either ping it in the chat or feel free to email me directly, mlevine@ebay.com, because as you know, we announced the permanent change to insertions. There are different levels, right, depending what store you're in, but there are additional free insertions for most sellers. And so, and especially there's some requirements for some of the larger store sellers like Enterprise and Anchor, where it's tied to payments, managed payments. But please send me that information, because you should be seeing more insertions, not less. But thank you. So please reach out. Oh, post-pandemic, will eBay continue doing upfronts, or will we get to have open again? Well, this is quite the rare year. These upfronts, right, or, you know, these are the seller check-ins. We have the upfronts. They're going really well. We're learning more and more each event. We have, this week is Denver. Yes, I'll be in virtual Denver this week. So, I mean, ideally we want to get out there, right, as soon as we can. We'll see what the future holds. You know, we have the 25th this year. You know, will we have open again? We absolutely want to do more, you know, more events. What does that look like? Are they, you know, smaller events more often throughout the country? Are they one large event? We're still in the planning phase. You know, who knows what 2021 will bring. You know, but I could tell you, I'm pretty confident that in 2021, I'm going to go on pseudo record, not full record, an eBay open, because at this point, you know, we'd be well into planning it already, with, you know, having our venues chosen and all of that, but we'll figure something out. So don't hold me to that. That was definitely off the record, being recorded, but, you know, again, we want to talk to you as often as possible. We want to celebrate with you. We want to share insights. So my team is focused on that and focused on what 2021 will look like.
Yeah, and Marnie, like, as we heard from Jamie, he values the in-person connections. And so I don't know exactly what that will look like next year and when next year will really start as it relates to in-person events. But you should definitely assume that, you know, a lot of things have changed through the pandemic. Some employers will never go back to having a physical office again. You shouldn't assume just because we run these Zoom events that we will never go back to having in-person events. I do love the Zoom events. I think we will continue having digital engagement because it lets us get out there more often and talk to more people. But I don't see us, you know, backing away from physical events in the future. It's just, I don't know, nothing can beat the personal relationships. And as Jamie said, like going and visiting you in your place of operations, whether that's your, you know, your fulfillment center, your rented warehouse, or just your home office where everything is within a rotation of your chair. Just getting to see you and hear about it in your context is irreplaceable.
Absolutely. So probably not the most pressing topic, but one that's important nonetheless is about holiday and holiday shipping supplies. And, I remember last year sellers complaining that our colors weren't festive enough. We were using blues, and everybody, I know the sellers love the festive holiday colors, the blues, the silvers, the reds, the greens. So we will take that back to the brand and marketing team for sure. But as I'm sure you can imagine, we do have quite a bit of 25th anniversary supplies coming your way if you've early bird register for the 25th celebration. So you will have some new eBay swag and eBay supplies to use through holiday. But thank you for that feedback. I do remember last year as well. So we will take that to the brand and marketing team. Yes, Canada too.
Marty, I see a question there about, am I going to wear Canada shirt on the Upfront Canada?
Oh,
So
well, obviously.
I do have two really nice eBay Canada shirts. They've got like a sewn maple leaf on the shoulder. I was actually wearing it yesterday, so I'll make sure I have one clean for the Upfront Canada Day.
Excellent. All right. Yeah, and people are asking about the upfronts being sold out. We certainly can look to expand those, right? We, in person, it was a matter of, as you can imagine, space. Virtually, there is more space, but it's also a little bit more difficult to manage, in the sense the more people, the more round tables, right? There's more Zoom numbers. So, we're trying to find the right balance of making a great event, one that feels at least intimate enough and accessible enough, but also allows more people to join. So please, feedback if you've been to any of those upfronts and you feel like, or you've tried to register for these upfronts and they've been sold out, the more you tell us about your experience, or the more you bang down the door saying you want to go and you weren't allowed in, please share that with us, because again, we continue to evolve. We have our Denver one, then we have next week our San Jose. We still have quite a few more this year, and we'll probably do them virtually probably the first half of the year, or at least the first few months, it looks like. So please give me that feedback. We would love to have, the more the merrier, but we're also cognizant that we want to have, a quality event. So it's a fine balance. All right.
I'll
Yes.
chime in for a second, Marty. I saw Donna's question about the new great price designation badge.
Yes, I was just going to go there next. Go for it, Harry.
So, I saw this in Facebook too, Donna, and I know there's a lot of questions about how do you get that great price designation, because, some of the sellers remember saying you had a lower price than the great price. There's a lot of factors that come into play. The first one that's really important, though, is that you have to adopt a catalog, right? So that's like putting in the EPID or actively adopting your item against our catalog, because that's the first thing that it does to ensure that it's matching your listing up to the very same products that other listings are attached to, right? So it's critical that you adopt the product in the catalog, not just provide the item specifics in this particular case, because we do have to make sure it's an exact match. The second is obviously the retail standards. So things like offering free shipping and free returns, and then price, all of those things are going to come into play. But I'd say the most critical thing is ensuring you have the listing has been adopted to the correct product, so it can compare it to other similar listings of the same product.
Excellent. Thank you. And there'll be more information coming. I think right now it's still in this test, right? It's not rolled out. So many of you may have seen it, but a lot of you may have not. But there will be more information coming out in the coming weeks about it. The parameters, you have to be, you can't be below standard, right? There are guardrails, of course. So we want to make sure we're providing the buyer with the best seller experience. So more information to come on that as the weeks go on.
And when it works really well. But there's definitely a lot of questions being asked to make sure we don't do something where we're actually showing like not the great price, and then just to make sure there's no like conspiracy theories, there's no like favoritism. It's not like you've got to be seller X to get great price. But I want to make sure that as we get into some categories that aren't as simple as, an iPhone, if it's going to appear, it's going to appear and make sense to customers and be fair to sellers.
Yeah, that's a good call out, Jordan, Marty.
Okay. So there's still some talk about USPS. Jordan, anything additional you want to share from your perspective?
There are some questions there. I think, Donna, you were asking, why are we putting up a message around use FedEx? We should be a great partner for USPS. And I give you a couple different answers. So one of the things that surprised me a little bit when I came back to eBay is the relationship with USPS isn't actually, it's not what it was when it was at its peak. So if you were at eBay Live in 2000, someone's going to get mad at me in about 2 seconds when I picked the wrong year, 2007 in Las Vegas. And I apologize if I'm off by a year. Meg was up on 2006. Yeah, I knew I got it wrong. Meg was up on stage.
You knew someone was going to correct you. This is not the group to try to fake it with.
USPS Rocks versus Canada Post. I had difficult conversations with both of them. I don't know. They can definitely get me fired up. But Meg's up on stage with the Postmaster General, and they're releasing custom shipping boxes for shoe sellers. I think maybe even golf clubs. And there was a really, really strong partnership. And fundamentally, no carrier in this country is as well positioned as USPS is to enable small businesses across the country in every geography to run the businesses that you run. And that's amazing. It's also part of the reason I've been pretty sad at how things have unfolded over the last 6 or 8 weeks. It probably wouldn't surprise you to know that collectively the volume that eBay does with USPS as a result of all of your businesses puts us amongst one of the largest shippers. And this isn't about COVID. USPS and other carriers all experienced the headwinds of COVID in March. But about a month before all the headlines started showing up in the news, many of you started to see your late rates start to spike. And we called up USPS and sort of said, hey, what is going on here? And what had basically happened, and you see it now in the news, is there are a lot of operational decisions being made inside the postal network. And I will suspend any political or conspiracy theory. You can, spend time on Reddit, on Twitter, and get yourself riled up pretty quickly. I know I do. Factually, USPS has late rates that I've certainly never seen before. And that is terrible for the hundreds of thousands of small and medium-sized businesses that depend on eBay. I don't know, many of you sell on Shopify that depend on USPS to run your business. And it really, really, really upsets me that those decisions are being made without, deep consequence understanding. So maybe it's the political piece. Maybe it is because USPS, because of a series of decisions and policies, isn't, making money. But I am not happy that whether you're trying to get, bills, medication, or in the case of, running businesses, USPS isn't meeting needs. And so I think fundamentally, we have seen this unfold now. Many of you saw it last fall. If you were shipping internationally, we were literally days away from USPS shutting down international shipments, which is kind of crazy given the dependence that, eBay and other businesses have on exports. And so I haven't really been happy with the partnership the USPS has shown us recently versus what is the magic and what is the potential that, they can do for SMBs across the country. So, if you're, worried that we're going to, turn USPS off from the label printing and that, the message we put up there is a precursor to something coming in a couple of weeks, don't worry about that. If you're worried that, we're going to mandate, only FedEx or UPS and you won't get service in rural countries, don't worry about that. I see, Danny, maybe you or someone else sort of asking, well, what about lightweight items? We don't really have a choice. We're well aware of that. Stuart and his team have been, great to sort of, I know Nate's on here, have been great to highlight, the challenges and what all of the different business models and shipping weights look like. So, please keep, us giving us the feedback on what's working and not working with shipping. Marnie is working with Stuart and the shipping team to make sure and the trust team to make sure we have the protections in place and cover you in the current environment. But when I looked at what does the next 25 years look like for eBay, the current setup is not the right one. We either need something that more closely resembles 2006, when the post office was a great partner for eBay and an enabler of small and medium-sized businesses across the country. and you are profitable businesses for the post office. Make no mistake about it. Like, you guys are driving profit into their center. And so that's why it's so frustrating to see the service degradation. Or we need to have other services on the platform, like FedEx and other carriers that can offer competitive rates and equivalent service and have all the benefits of tracking. And so obviously, you know, I would like nothing more than to see the, you know, insanity of the current situation resolve itself so that we could go back and dealing with the other 100 issues that we have going on right now, from pandemics to hurricanes to fire tornadoes in Southern California. There's enough for everybody to worry about without worrying your packages aren't getting picked up. So please keep the feedback coming. Know that we take this exceptionally seriously, and it is a very difficult situation. The last thing I'd say, beyond sending us feedback, I would all encourage you to go to eBay Main Street. It's our government relations channel. It's a great place to get plugged in so that when we sort of, you know, sound the alarm and ask for your help to do outreach to your local senators, representatives, and even the president. That's the one place you can go to where you can get sort of, you know, talking points and the right people to reach out to if you want to help. I don't know, Marnie, I probably went on a little bit longer than you expected, but
No,
it's
that's
a
okay.
pretty hot topic.
I know it
Hopefully I
is.
answered some questions.
I know, we're all very passionate about it. So we are at time. I love that we got to more questions. There's still more questions. And I think a few of you have asked for follow-ups directly from some of our team members. So we will absolutely do that, as well as answer the remaining questions that are in the Q&A. And so thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed. I'm so glad Jamie was able to join. You know, it was so important for him, right? Getting on his calendar isn't the easiest, but you know, it was actually quite simple. When I say, can you talk to, you know, 100 of our, you know, most beloved sellers? Well, not all beloved, you know, I love most of you. No, I'm kidding. And so, again, thank you for your time. We are going to put up that survey, that poll, that survey, and please answer it. Again, we want the feedback. We love to hear how we can improve. So please take a minute. We'll keep the Zoom open, and you know, you can drop off once you're done completing the survey. So thank you all. Appreciate your time, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.